Good afternoon, this is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding, here to discuss the basics of citizenship by investment. We'll just refer to it as CBI. What is it? Do you qualify? Do you need it? When does it come into play? So the idea is, if you want, from what we do here, expatriation, the idea is if you want to give up your U.S. citizenship, it doesn't really apply to permanent residents as much because they have citizenship somewhere else. But if you want to give up your U.S. citizenship, in order to do so, to renounce, you need to have citizenship in another country. The U.S. government will not typically allow you to expatriate unless you have citizenship somewhere else, or you're not what's considered stateless. From a practical standpoint, to travel most places, you need a passport. When you expatriate from the U.S., you give up your passport. So in order to travel, do anything, no matter how far off the grid you want to be, you need a passport. And so you need citizenship somewhere else. You know, in some countries you can have, well, let me take a step back. Some people who are expatriating are dual citizens, so it's no big deal. Other taxpayers, they may have lineage in another country, which just allows them to come in and apply for citizenship. You go through some of the red tape, but it's relatively simple. There are other people who don't have that, right? They don't have lineage in another country. They're not dual citizens. Getting a residence somewhere like in Portugal, like an RBI program, doesn't help because they need a passport. And so they consider one of the CBI programs. And there's various different programs. I think right now there's around 9 of them. So with the CBI programs, it's considered a second passport a lot of times when you're doing the research. And then down the line, when you expatriate and give up your U.S. citizenship, that'll be your primary passport. Now, when it's time to apply, it's important to determine whether you're doing this because you want to expatriate or whether you're just looking for a plan B. Because the length of time it takes to get one of the CBI approvals varies, right? If you're doing something like Austria, it's going to take much longer than if you're doing like St. Kitts or Montenegro. They have expedited ways to do it. You know, sometimes you can have the whole process done in 90 days. Not too bad. In fact, you can even pay more if you want it done even quicker. When considering getting a CBI, it's important to look at various factors, right? One is length of time for the process. If you wanted this done yesterday, then it's super important to look into how long the application process is going to be. If time's on your side, right, you may not be subject to the exit tax or all your money's in cash, so it's not really a big deal. Then you might have some more time. You can look into the different programs. Some of them take a lot longer. It just depends. When determining which country you want to get your CBI, another thing to consider is travel rights, right? Just because a country says it has 184 countries that you can go visa waiver, visa on arrival, important thing to consider is how that impacts you, right? A lot of people think they just want to go to the Schengen zone, Schengen area, and so that's the main thing they look for in a passport. But in reality, if you need to go to a certain country, often whether it's for family, whether it's for business, it's important to make sure you have easy access with whichever country you get the CBI. For example, if you need to travel to Thailand a lot, or China, or the Philippines, but the particular passport you get doesn't give you those rights, or it's a much more complicated process, then that probably not the country for you. Another thing to consider is tax residence. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. The United States operates differently than most countries. In the United States, it's worldwide income, which means you're a U.S. citizen, you live in foreign country A, you earn all of your money from foreign countries B, C, and D. U.S. don't care. They're going to tax you on your worldwide income, okay? Just because you're a citizen. Other countries don't operate that way. In most other countries, you have to be a resident of that country. Normally means you have to be there for more than 183 days, more than half the year, and then they tax you on your worldwide income. But even these countries that do it this way, which is most countries, you have to be careful. Even if you're a non-resident of a country in which you obtain CBI, you want to make sure that there's no other taxes that you don't know about, wealth taxes, lineage taxes, transfer of gift taxes, rental property taxes, real estate taxes, et cetera, because the idea is there may be a significant amount of time that you have both citizenship, so you don't want to be getting taxed double. You want to make sure you plan that the best you can. So some important considerations. Are you going to be residing in the country that you get the CBI? And if so, how is the income tax in that country? Is there personal income tax, corporate income tax? What are the rates? What does it mean to be a resident of that country? And what is your wealth? Because many of these countries do have a wealth equivalent type of tax. No matter how they kind of couch it in other stuff, that's essentially what it is. Another very important thing to keep in mind is that rules can change in the future. We get this a lot with Puerto Rico Act 60, previously Acts 2022, incentives code technically. The idea is these are the way that the rules are now. That doesn't mean that these are the way the rules are going to be forever, right? Many of these countries didn't have these programs before. Some of these programs were forced to get rid of it because it was being used for illicit purposes. So when you're doing the planning, even though this is your plan B, for a lot of people, you may also need a plan C and D because you want to be prepared. You don't want all your money in one spot, no matter how high the interest rates are in many of these countries. Oftentimes, they don't offer FDIC equivalent. If you're seeking expatriation, you're out of compliance. That may be one of the reasons you're a covered expatriate, so it's important to get into compliance. Even if you're just expatriating and worried about the exit tax, you can always reach out, contact our firm. We have lots of information available on our websites, goldenlawyers.com and expatriationattorneys.com. You can always reach out and schedule a reduced fee initial consultation. Again, my name is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.